just having a bunch of great men that cared about people. And that was my foundation of coaching. I didn't know coaching to be transactional. I knew coaching to be impact the person, impact the family, change their lives. I don't need nothing from you. You go on and be a successful human.
Let go. Hey, okay, I know I'm here to stay. Counting on my wins, so I can't play it safe. Try to go against us, get you out the way. Go hard, it's the only way to play. Let me say, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Who can do it better? I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Hey, look.
All right, everyone, you're here. We're ready to give you another amazing guest on this episode of Sportsing.
Yay.
I'm Gloria Govean, one of your hosts.
I'm Erica Lynn O'Keefe.
Yes, sir. And today we have someone that's going to blow your mind, literally. PhD, master's, coaching consultant. I mean, literally, he has done it all. When you want to have some advice to your kid, give some to yourself as a professional, make sure y'all check this episode out right here. Everybody, please help me welcome JD DuBois.
Thank you.
I had to do it. I
so
did.
hard.
No,
she wanted to do it exactly
I
like
appreciate
that.
the amazing intro.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. And we appreciate you.
Thank you for being here.
Just coming on this platform where you guys are having such meaningful conversations is, I'm hoping to leave here learning at least one thing.
Well,
And share
we
that
hope
with-
to do the same.
No, we will.
appreciate it.
Hopefully I
this
can
is
give you
wild.
at least something.
You will.
No,
Give you
we've been
something.
having some brilliant conversation just behind the scenes, you know, a little bit more. And just I can already tell, like, this is going to be so impactful, like crazy. I'm taking a lot of gems in. So make sure you guys grab a pen, take some notes, because this is going to be some really cool stuff to, you know, implement into our own life and for your kids. So let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's
Okay.
do it.
Talk to us a little bit about your journey. I mean, you have coached for major teams, you know, Lakers specifically. You know, you've had your own athletic journey. You're now a PhD. You're an author. I mean,
Yeah.
sir.
How did we get
No.
here?
Yeah.
I know.
Where did
So-
it begin?
Brilliant.
It's interesting right now doing my PhD. I think back to the beginning where my dad was a PE teacher. 30
nice.
years, same middle school in Inglewood, California. And just watching him interact with students and taking, it was Inglewood at that time was extremely gang infested, a lot of quote unquote troubled youth. But the kids in his class, you would never know, never any problems, always showed up on time. And I recognized that because he built a relationship with those young kids and their parents, they respected him and they showed up. And so as I went through life, going to his school every day, I recognized you can impact a person just by the environment that you create.
Absolutely.
And so played in college, played in Europe, and that's really where I started thinking about writing. Anybody that's played in Europe or knows anybody that's played there, you got a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
One, you're either by yourself or you may have one or two guests. I was by myself. So practice ends at 3:00. I got the
Yeah.
rest of the day in a country where, for me personally, I don't really leave the house.
Yeah.
So I'm writing, I'm thinking about, okay, how can I take these thoughts and put them into a tangible space? And that's where I really started to write. And then once I went into the coaching space in the NBA specifically, I just always thought about like, all right, what's the gap? What's the gap between the athletes who make it and who maximize their potential and the athletes who don't? And if we ask anybody, what percentage of the game is mental versus physical?
80-20.
Yeah. I mean, I'd even say darn near 90-10.
So at the lowest, we might say 70-30.
70, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then the follow-up question is, all right, how much time do the average athlete spend on said 80 or 70%? And most of the time it's maybe 10% of the time.
I was like,
So
none.
for me, I'm like, all right, let's reverse engineer this. We're saying it's 80% mental, but yet we're spending 5% of our time on it. That made me dive into the research more. And then now we have Breathe Thru Chaos is really a combination of master's level, PhD level research, real world coaching, and just being around the best athletes in the world. And how do I use storytelling to provide you with PhD level research that will help you in the mental side of the game and just peak performance in general.
And when
Long
you-
answer.
No, that's
No,
great. That's,
I was
we here to
like,
talk
hell
about
yeah,
it.
yeah. Like, this is
when
great.
you talk about the research you were doing, what specifically were you looking into? Were you trying to figure out to understand, to inform how you wanted to share your story?
Yeah, so really it was, okay, what are some mental tools that athletes are struggling with? One of them is just being present or internal dialogue. Let's just go there. So, all right, what is the struggle with a lot of athletes? Well, a lot of times that internal dialogue, that relationship with that voice is not positive. And we know that if you, one, can just become more aware of it, let's just start with awareness, it will impact your ability to perform because more times than not, the biggest critic is the internal one. And so if we're going about life, if they're going about their careers with that internal critic killing them every day without awareness, then it's hard to make a change. But first and foremost, if I can just make you be aware, all right, if we transcribed the internal voice, would that be something you would want me saying to you? More times than not, it's like, no.
Right.
We wouldn't want anybody to say that. So how do I just make them aware of just kind of baseline day-to-day things that are happening, and then now we can go to, all right, how do we change what that dialogue is? Are there any mantras that we can utilize on a day-to-day basis? But a lot of it just comes with conversation.
Got it.
Or just consistent areas where we find athletes are struggling.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's so many. I mean, you talk about struggle and some of the things. I mean, how do you approach, like, what's the difference between the way you would approach an adult and someone, let's just say in high school, you know, who have different social needs and social
Great question.
priorities?
Great
Like, how
question.
do you approach that?
As a baseline level, the same.
Okay.
Understand the person. Who are you? What are you struggling with? What are
Yeah.
your goals? One of the psychologists that I really took something from is he asked 3 questions. One, what do you want? How bad do you want it? And how much are you willing to suffer? So Dr. Brunswick, I'm not sure where he's from, but it's basically just setting the table for, all right, what are we here to achieve? You want to work on your mental skills? You want to get to the next level? What are we looking to achieve? And it's like, all right, how bad do you want said achievement? And then what are you willing to suffer through? And not necessarily suffer from an unhealthy standpoint, but sometimes you're not going to be able to go out as much as you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to have to recover a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to have to allocate time to look in the mirror and see what are my internal psychological weaknesses,
Yeah.
and am I willing to go through that tough gray area where I may not see a result, but I know I need to continue to put that
Yeah.
internal
Yeah.
work in.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
So, especially in this climate, in this day and age, with the way the circuit is, with the way social media is, with the way that the popularity contest of it all is set up now.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
Like,
Tough.
crazy.
Walk me through your approach then, considering that I think you're in the minority of considering the mental and the impact of the mental side of it than most people who are in any kind of position of power within this are.
Mhm.
So how do you kind of approach it, whether it is from as a coach standpoint or in dealing with other coaches, you know, your peers, or with kids and they're trying to like move through their careers?
Yeah, I think for specifically in today's day and age, a lot of times is let's start with the parents.
Sure.
Because we're talking about 12, 13, 14-year-olds. Yes, they're struggling. What is the broader environment like? What is the pressure that we're placing on them? One of the biggest struggles that athletes are having is their early specialization, meaning they're only playing basketball
Right.
from 10 years old all the way to 18. One is causing injury. The second one is just over-identification with sport. So I turned an athlete at 7, 8 years old. My whole childhood, all I'm looked at is a young athlete. Both of those 2 things lead to more anxiety, more depression. So sometimes just letting the parents know, I understand that getting in college for free is important, but on the flip side of overly trying to specialize and force said result on these young kids, injuries are going up, burnout is going up. Like this is the highest rate of youth athletes that are ending sports. They're just saying like, I don't
I'm
wanna
done.
do it no
I'm
more.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're burnt out because of both the early specialization and a lot of times the early identity attachment to one sport. And
Sure.
being able to educate parents on that and just ask us to all, let's just be honest. Sometimes parents are a little bit more selfish in terms of where they want that athlete to go. And if the athlete knew the parent would never find out, they would say, I don't
I
really
wanna do
enjoy
this. Yeah.
this sport as much. So I think awareness is always the most important, regardless of if it's a child, middle-aged person. how can we elicit awareness? And then we can take the following steps from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's dope.
Okay, if you were to finish the sentence, talent gets you noticed, but blank keeps you playing.
As a player, coach, either
As a
one.
player,
As a
or
player. I
both.
would say resilience.
Okay.
Okay,
Because we
gets you
know
noticed.
that there's going to be failure. We know that there's going to be obstacles and challenges in front of you. The person who's able to get off the ground one more time is always going to outlast the person that's more talented, never had any bumps in the road along the way. Sometimes their first bit of adversity at the NBA level. They go through middle school, high school, college, never had any adversity. Then they get to the NBA and you're first round pick, but you don't play right away. You've been playing a certain style of basketball, but the style of basketball that we need to win at this level is a little different.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Are you
yeah.
resilient enough to be able to say, all right, well, I have to adapt. I have to adjust. So I would say definitely resilience in both spaces. Because even for me as a coach, the way that I coached when I first started is much different than the way that I coach now, because you have to update the software.
Sure.
If someone walks in here and is like, all right, we're going to go back to communicating only through handwritten letters, you're going to say, all right, that's no longer efficient.
Yeah.
For me, it's the same as a coach. If you're not able to adapt with the times and find out what is the new, most updated information, I think you more than likely are going to get left behind.
Yeah.
What's
no,
been the
for sure.
biggest adjustment you've had to make then to that point? Like as a coach, what's like if you had to look back on how you were coaching
Yeah.
now and you know between then and now, like what's been the biggest you think?
I think just being more evidence-based and not strictly, okay, the coaches that I looked up to, my mentors coach this way, so I'm just following suit.
Okay.
Like, okay, what are some evidence based off motor learning? Okay, what are the best learning environments to allow for certain skills to emerge? All right, how do I identify the style of play is changing? And so the way that we develop has to match the way that
What
we
that
want
is,
to play.
yeah.
And not necessarily a challenge, but some of it is just how can you always be looking ahead? All right, this is what's good now, but what is the game going to look like 5-10 years from now? And that was really my emergence into the psychological realm because, yeah, when I started my career, it was all skill development. Then I was able to do more game plan, X's and O's. But if I had to look 10, 15 years from now, the social media era athlete is going to need a different level of support than maybe the athletes that were in my
Sure.
graduating class. So
Yeah.
trying to always be forward thinking as best as I can just along that journey.
Yeah. Would you give, like, today kids, obviously you just mentioned social media, like, you know, today's kids probably spend the most amount of time on social media. Do they would you give them more grace than you would someone in the NBA?
Grace in terms of which
In terms of
piece?
spending so much time on social media and video games. I mean, we have kids, right, that spend an enormous amount of time, and it's very annoying and irritating as a parent, right? But when you look at some of the professional athletes, you know, on their downtime, they're playing video games. On their downtime, they're on social media. So there's a influence and a, you know, awareness that young kids have because this generation is doing it as well.
Yeah.
But one has more grace than the other. You know, how do you as a parent kind of speak to your child about that?
I think the parents usually know the child the most in terms of their balance. Like, okay, how much time is being spent on social media? How much time are you spending just exploring other interests? Regardless of where it is, it doesn't matter what it is, but kind of going back to that over-identification as an athlete, what can you spend energy on to figure out who are you outside of just sports or outside of maybe video games? Because to be honest, they spend millions of dollars to get us addicted to it. There's a reason why we all get caught and 20 minutes go by and we're like, dang, how long have I been scrolling?
Yeah,
It doesn't
100%.
matter. And to be honest, I think the adults are a little bit more addicted to
I
it
think so,
than
too.
the kids are. We
Yeah.
won't admit it,
Yeah.
but I get caught where I'm like, I'm watching ATOs from a coach and I don't even know this guy. And 30 minutes later, I'm watching a random video at the zoo and you got these rappers at SeaWorld. I'm like, how did I get here? I thought I was just looking at
T-shirt was at SeaWorld.
A little bow wow come through.
who is at SeaWorld? But I think we're all there. I think, we all have to give ourselves grace. This is new.
That part.
Yeah.
There's never been parents having to raise kids in this era.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's never been a generation of child who's had to grow up where every 10 seconds there's something new being sent at you. You're always on camera. You're always being watched. And so I think both sides giving each other grace as we try to navigate this new New landscape.
is the way to go.
Yeah.
If you were thinking about who is the most uncoachable type of player, like if you had to describe and kind of give us like kind of what that would look like,
That's a good question.
what does that look like, and then how do you handle those type of players?
I would say potentially both entitled and lack of basic work ethic. Like just entitlement to playing time, entitlement to I should get all the shoes, I should get all the shots, and then you mix that with lack of work ethic. I think those two combined is a bad recipe. But in terms of coaching, I think always eliciting awareness. Like, do you recognize that you're the only person who shows up to practice late? You recognize you're the only person who complains about when shots don't go your way, even though we're winning? Are you aware of this? Because a lot of, as humans, the face that we see the least is our own.
Sure.
We know it's so, we could describe what a million people look like.
Yeah.
We don't really look at ourselves
Yeah.
as often. And even as coaches, I find myself, okay, what are the things that, if I'm frustrated with a player about something, what is it that I maybe can work on to not be so frustrated with said player?
Yes.
But I think at a baseline level, the more we can elicit awareness, then we can start moving forward. Because if we can agree that, like, dang, I kind of complain the
Right.
most.
Yeah.
Or like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm the first one to always leave.
Yeah.
Once we can establish that, now
We can
we
work
can
with
move
it.
forward. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think that foundation of awareness is extremely important.
Yeah.
Do you
Never
feel
thought about
like, from a peer-to-peer standpoint, as a coach, that there is enough? I guess so. As she mentioned, my nephew plays. Her kids play, obviously, and so I kind of get both sides, right? Like as a
Yeah.
parent or whatever, or you see your kid and you're like, my baby is so good. They need to be out here like doing the thing, right? Like I get it. Like I get it because I
For
definitely
sure.
have had a few, stops for him where I was like, they tripping.
Yeah.
Okay, you can
It's
shoot
not
the
him.
three.
Yeah.
So I get it, right? But I think on the flip side, it's difficult to figure out how to find the right type of communication between parents and coaches.
Yeah.
And part of that is
Okay.
the same awareness that we need to have as said athlete and parent, right? I don't know that all coaches are willing to have that level of introspection and be
Yeah.
willing to be open to it not being about I'm coming from specific to my kid, but also just your coaching style has been evidence to show that you aren't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as a coach, and when you think about from a peer-to-peer standpoint, is there enough accountability on that level, and how can we go about getting more accountability with the way that these coaches are handling these kids?
Yeah, I think platforms like this where you guys have had former players, current trainers, current coaches who have been at the highest levels, and they're always talking about trying to get better, working hard,
Yeah.
process driven, not necessarily results driven. So the more conversations, the more we can discuss internally, holding one another accountable. All right, I got my PhD, but I'm getting my PhD. Well, what from that information can I do to help a peer or a
Yeah.
coach next to me? And then now he takes that information to his larger group of
Yeah.
individuals that he impacts, whether it's in this community or just friends that he grew up with. And then you kind of see that snowball over time. But it is difficult. I think both parties you got the older generation that's like, man, these young kids, they don't understand. Then you have the younger generation that's like, man, them old heads, they don't want to listen.
Unks.
So
Yeah.
both parties are trying to seek, I always say, first seek to understand before seeking to be understood.
Right.
Okay.
Both parties. So as coaches, let me figure out, all right, young fella, explain to me why you have to have your headphones on all day. Like, I just want to know, like, it's not
Right.
on, there's no music.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Yeah.
Okay. And then the young person, all right, coach, why are you so worried about if I wear pajamas to go work out?
Right.
Because I went to a couple workouts like, this kid is in here in pajamas.
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 But that's,
what are we
hey,
doing?
all right, you showed up, you ready to
Slides,
work.
Lord have mercy.
What has been, for you guys, have there been coaches that you can easily identify that you feel like, okay, he's constantly working on either himself
Right,
or how
getting
he
better.
approaches? Yeah. Is that easily recognizable as a parent?
Great question. And I feel like there is evidence that a coach has like kind of changed their ways, sometimes good, sometimes for bad.
Yeah.
And I do think that a lot of times parents and coaches have this interesting kind of like intersected communication where parents sometimes take over communicating for their child, you know, because they want to be their advocate, which I completely understand and represent. And then coaches feel like, you know, almost how dare you,
Territorial. This is my
very
job.
mine, my job. If you want to do it, do it. And then there are some coaches I think that overcompensate for parents too. So it's just I've had a variety of coaches, and it's been very interesting identifying or helping the boys identify what kind of coaching works best for them. They get coached by both their stepdad and their dad, and they have very different personalities. And so I see different performances, which I find very interesting. I don't bring that up to them because I don't want them to be hyper aware of the way that they change their, the way they play, their style and play. But it is pretty evident. Yeah. And I have I can go home and talk to Derek about certain things. I can't do that with their dad either, with Matt. So a lot of times when I'm yelling, I'm like, you should play the twins together. Who said that?
Right. That's
Somewhere,
weird.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. So weird. You agree too, you know?
Right.
But it's just, so it is an interesting, it's been pretty wild to see the way that coaches kind of take their roles. I think in the NBA, I've always given my flowers to Ty Lue. I absolutely love him. I think that he's done a great job educating himself. And I feel like I can tell that by his relationship with the players and his transparency. We just finished talking about this as well. Like, he is super transparent. I think he's certainly adapted to today's time and the way that you go, okay, look, I feel you, Kyrie. Like, I feel you, James Harden, like, look here, Chris, you about to play 15 games. I'm telling you right now off top, like, I think he's just been really honest. And I think the players then show the same respect. And I feel like I can see and feel that. So
Superpower is,
that's just me.
so just in our with holistic coaches, one of the first tenets is collaboration.
Yeah.
Like T. Lue, I feel like watching from the outside, he's an elite collaborator.
Yeah.
Front office, player, agent, whomever. And same thing with youth sports is, can we collaborate more? Not that the parents are running the team, but you're going to know this child more than me.
Sure.
He's in your house every day. So are there things that you notice that hinder his performance? And coaches sometimes letting our guard down and not feeling that you're trying to control me, but you're trying to guide me to help.
Yeah.
I think that can change a lot of that dynamic as well.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think it is much harder. I think you probably are more inclined to see the willingness of that on a school level, right? Like a high school coach, a college coach, probably because they're kind of journeying with these kids a little differently, right? In a longer period of time than the AAU circuit, right? So I haven't, in my personal experience in dealing with my nephew, I didn't see those coaches who were approachable in that way, right? Like, because they doing what they doing, and you ain't gonna tell them what they're gonna do, and either your kid with it or not.
Brand deal, I get it.
And we've talked about this before on the pod. Like, one thing, I'm here to be the cheerleader because he already has a dad who's telling him this and like all that type of stuff, right? So I'm just kind of in the corner, like, you got this kid, right? Like that's my role in this equation. But I'm also one that don't play by my baby. So
I heard that.
If you grown man can't manage your emotions well enough to speak to this child, then you need to, one, stop speaking to my child because not the one, but two, reevaluate whether or not this is a role for you. Because the coaches that we then look to on a professional level, the Ty Lues, the Greg Popoviches, the people like that, the stories you hear the players talk about with them are the human relationship stories they had with them, way more than whatever was happening on the basketball court, right? But they go out and do everything they can for that coach because DeMar DeRozan was recently talking about how Pop sat with him and cried when his dad died. For 2 hours. They ain't talking nothing about basketball. But he went out there and played basketball for that man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that it's harder to get the AAU circuit coaches to think about it on that level because for them, this is a dime a dozen. They trying to get their tournament up. They're trying to get their profile up. And they trying to let these kids roll through. And either you making them the book or you're not. And I think that's where a huge disconnect in youth sports has really come into play because the nurturers and the people like yourself who's thinking about the mental aspect of it and all that type of stuff are in the minority. And that's we as the parents are finding the problem You know what I mean?
No doubt. And to your point, one thing that even in the book we talk about, just psychological reframe. So, all right, we can't control who the AAU coach is sometimes or how they are, but we do know that sports is literally life's blank canvas. And we know you're not going to be able to choose who you work with.
Right.
You're not always going to be able to choose your business partners. You're not going to always be able to choose your boss. So if at 14 you can start to learn, hey, he doesn't communicate to you in the manner that you would like. He doesn't play you in the role that you think fits your strengths. Well, that's going to happen. I guarantee you at some point in life. You're going to be working somewhere or doing business with somebody, and you're going to sit back and say, I'm so much better.
Right, than this guy, this woman, yeah.
But if we can at an early age and not have to wait until we get older and be like, dang, I learned that.
Back then.
If in the moment we can say, all right, pause, take a breath. I know it's a lot going on, but this is going to help you as a human being because this is literally life.
Yeah.
To me, that mental reframe when I speak to young children's parents is like, well, I know it feels frustrating, but these are the necessary tools that we know we all have to navigate. So let's embrace it and find ways that they can get better based off of a situation that may not be most ideal in today's moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and before we dive into the book a little bit, just real quick, I mean, you know, you just mentioned something that I feel like we're dealing with a lot, like Derek coaching high school, right? And we just talked about the reality of some parents maybe feeling like their child is like God's gift to basketball and helping them navigate these, you know, this territory in which probably not. And maybe at another program, you know, but this one in particular may not be. Dad, do you find it difficult, like when you see these students, these kids jump around to different schools to try to avoid adversity and challenges?
Yeah, just looking at it, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes I think parents are making in today's day is they're getting in the way of every bit of adversity. Like they're getting in the way of any type of challenge. And every time you get in the way, you're chipping away at their ability to build resilience and build the confidence to be able to self-correct or to self-problem solve, which is what life is about. So, yeah, you may take him out of this team, put him over here at this school, and at some point, maybe he goes on to college. But at a certain age, he's going to be in the real world.
Right.
And if this young man or woman has no ability to be in a situation that they don't like and work through it, life is going to be much more difficult. And so sometimes for parents to say, all right, wait, if we know that pain is an indicator of growth, we know kids' knees start hurting. We don't say, oh, we don't want that. It's like, no, keep sleeping,
Right.
keep staying hydrated and eating because what?
Yeah,
You're growing.
Yeah.
So any other space where there may be a little discomfort, if we know that that space and that discomfort is going to elicit growth, why would we remove the young person from that environment? So sometimes just like, can you be aware of that a little bit more?
I like that.
So
Yeah.
we want to dive into the book.
Let's do it.
Yes.
So, okay. How did you decide that you wanted to write it?
Yeah.
And what for you is kind of the important takeaway? Like, I know it's a lot in there, but if you had to say, this is what I really hope people will read, take away from the book, what is it?
Yeah, I think first, breathe through chaos is just a mantra that I used, right? There's, especially sports at the highest level, being in the NBA or just in life, chaos is happening every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I don't care what you do, how much money
Right.
you have, where you work, what, there's going to be chaos at some point. And just the ability to like, okay, slow down.
Yeah.
Let me just slow down. That has always been something that has been flowing through my mind. And then as I was going through the doctoral program, my master's program, I felt that I was getting a lot more research to support, all right, one, the impact of breath work and what that can do to you, the impact of being able to be present, the impact and the research around visualization. And we'll talk about this more about with your son who's injured, because there's a lot of research about if you can sit still 5-10 minutes a day and just see how you want the healing process to go, how you want to bounce back, it really speeds up the recovery process. So we'll
dive into that.
a little
Yes,
more.
legit.
But yeah, just for me, I want this to be a translator.
Okay.
So when people think of mental performance, peak performance, sometimes it's a little too rigid.
Yeah.
And then you have the other end of it where it's just kind of conversation about, all right, Kobe had the Mamba mentality. Bron is super focused and locked in. Well, what's the in between? How do I meet you in the middle, providing you with real life situations that's supported and underpinned by research? So that's if I could say one word of it, I would want it to be that translator from I want to have peak performance to now I'm able to take a step forward and having
actually make that my
peak
reality.
performance. Yes, exactly.
I love that.
How do you utilize breath work in your coaching?
So I, especially now, probably the last 2 years, every start of a workout, I do breath work with the guys I'm working with.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Now, every player's not always open to it, but for the most part, just doing I call it 3 up, 3 down. It takes maybe a minute and a half.
Yeah.
But even if I rewind, my first time coaching Summer League was maybe 8 months after my mom passed.
Okay.
So I'm going to the biggest opportunity of my coaching career with chaos, emotionally, traumatic,
Sure.
just like this is a huge loss.
Yeah.
But we also got the number 1 pick, Kay Cunningham,
Yeah.
huge opportunity. So I had our team psychotherapist, life coach, Dr. Yeager, basically as a coach for Summer League.
Okay.
One, to help me, because it's like, all right, this is an important opportunity.
Yep.
But also I wanted the environment, knowing that we got the number 1 pick, everybody's going to be nervous. It's going to be anxiousness around
Yeah.
having him. It's going to be packed gym. And so we will always do a mindfulness exercise before practice and then also pregame. So we may watch film at 30 minutes on the clock, and then instead of just bringing it in and they go warm up, it's like, all right, as a group, trainers, coaches, players, let's center ourselves, be more present, because one, it helped me selfishly, but I know that shared kind of cognitive energy was also extremely important.
I love that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, you talk a little bit about holistic coaches. How did you come up with that? You've obviously just talked about implementing that into the way your coaching style.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's been helpful for any, bringing that into any kids, any like the way that they perform as
Yeah,
well?
so even for me, just being so blessed to play under amazing coaches, from my 8U coach to high school, professionally, trainers that I work with, just having a bunch of great men that cared about people. And that was my foundation of coaching. I didn't know coaching to be transactional. I knew coaching to be impact the person, impact the family, change their lives. I don't need nothing from you. You go on and be a successful human. So that was just how I was raised as a player. So now I step into this NBA world where on a day-to-day basis, I'm engaging with people that impact masses of people. So if I can, maybe I don't have the outreach they have, but if I can impact an individual that has hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that they're engaging with, well, then I do have an outreach. And that gap, a lot of times, is the human development. A lot of times they're great athletes, great competitors, but there's personal areas where they want to learn, they want to get better. But I felt, all right, how can we do that? And then we came up with 4 tenets: collaborative, being flexible, being intentional, and being mindful. Those are like our 4 foundational. I don't care if it's a practice plan, a workout, got to discipline someone. It's going to fall under one of those 4 tenets, if not multiple at a time. And that's kind of been our goal is changing and developing the whole person, not just the athlete.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's fire. So if there was one thing you wanted, anybody to take away from independently as a coach, what do you want them to take away from the book? As a player, what do you want them to take away from the book?
I want them to feel that they got one more tool and they're one step closer to reaching their peak potential. Like when you finish reading, I want you to feel like not overwhelmed by what you thought mental performance or peak performance was, and now having a tool and a guide that you can always refer to as you start to navigate high pressure situations.
Sure. When
I love
things, obviously we live in a perpetual state of chaos. The world is
Every day.
Chaotic.
in a perpetual state of
Every
chaos
day.
as we speak. So when stuff is kind of falling apart or not always good or whatever it might be, but we, as we know, we all gotta, the day goes on, right?
Yeah.
What is your kind of go-to, even in addition to the breathing and stuff like that, but what is your go-to thing to kind of help you reset, to reprogram, to make sure you can focus in to get peak performance?
Yeah, I think just like a good crash out, just like cursing people out. No, joking.
I was like, yes. I was like, well, then here we go. I'm going to take
Hold
this
on,
one.
can I cheer yet? No.
Right.
I do think that sometimes that might be the best
Sometimes you got
tool. But for me, I'm a big fan of yoga. So I
nice.
need to get a Hot 8 yoga sponsorship.
Come
if
on,
not, at
come
least
Right.
through high A yoga.
You heard it.
unlimited classes because the amount of
Yes,
money and
come
people I
through.
send there. But
See?
no, but I would say yoga, and then just like walking. It sounds so simple, but being able to leave my phone in the car, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes, I won't give the specific location, but there's a hill. There's a hill I like to walk up. It's a bunch of grass. Just get barefoot and just be in the present moment. Anything that can just allow me to slow down,
Yeah.
be in the present moment has really been something that, one, the research supports, but for me personally, just being able to find ways to do it. Now, it is difficult, and that's where we kind of talked about earlier, that red light.
Yeah.
If you're in LA, you're going to be in some traffic.
Baby, you
and
had
Or a
mad
few.
red lights.
sometimes
Right.
you might be stopped longer on the freeway
Correct.
than at a red light, but just
Correct.
taking a couple of deep breaths just to just slow down, be present. Everything's going to be all right. There's nothing you can do about what's going to happen in 10 minutes, and there's no way you can go back to 10 minutes ago.
Right.
So let's just be where our feet
Be
are.
where we
and
are.
That's been extremely valuable for me.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's dope.
my therapist gave me a tool of
Come on, therapy. Come
Yeah.
on.
Listen, baby, we healed
Love
you
it.
whole around
It's
these parts.
expensive, but boy, it's worth it.
But she, when dealing with anxiety, she was like, and it's kind of why I can resonate with the walking idea, because she was like, stop and think about just outdoors. She was like, start thinking about the trees, start thinking
Yeah.
about the sky, start thinking about all these type of things. And as you're kind of like visualizing it and the wind and all, it just helps really
Yes.
ground and settle you. It
Yeah.
put 2 feet on the ground and just
Yes.
visualize the outdoors, because nature is so not
Yeah.
in our BS,
Yeah, it's not
right? Like it's
invasive.
existing in its most purest form of life.
Mhm.
Nature is.
Mhm.
So this idea of kind of taking ourselves out of like the hustle and bustle of this life and getting in, like connected to nature and kind of just stopping for a minute. I love that.
Yeah.
This is me co-signing that, because I was like,
Yeah.
it's worked for me,
Right.
honey. I done had a couple of anxiety attacks. I was like, the trees.
What would you say yours is? What's your?
My go-to breathing is like
And
I
it's
don't-
free.
I
And
don't
it's
think you
free.
understand how often I have to tell myself to breathe,
Mhm.
because I feel like once I can feel my body
body, so- yeah.
just I become like a recluse, and I can feel how like hard I'm holding my breath.
Mhm.
And I too like suffer from panic attacks and like anxiety. So oftentimes what I've also had to learn to do is start explaining and exploring, communicating when I'm having those feelings.
Mhm.
So like the people around me can understand. I've had to do that a lot with Derek and be like, this is how an anxiety attack feels,
Yeah.
or this is how it feels for me.
For me, yeah.
And then so, it just explains, because people don't necessarily give you, we talked a little bit about grace, the grace to like have those moments
Yeah.
without judgment or without, making you feel bad. So I often have had to be like, I'm just give me a minute, like I'm going through something, an anxiety attack or whatever that moment is. And I just have either excused myself from it or just have had that moment. But breathing has just, I thought about actually tattooing it here. And
Breathe.
like,
Yeah.
because
It
baby,
works wonders.
what?
Yeah,
Works
yeah, yeah.
wonders.
That in for, out for, let me explain something, y'all. Saved everyone's life in here, okay? At several
Yeah.
times.
Everyone still has a
Yeah.
job because
Yes.
I took a deep breath.
See, just
Right.
woo. Yeah.
Hello?
And it
You're
feels
welcome.
good. Like
Yes.
it really has. It's felt
Yeah.
great. Yeah. And we talked a little bit about before we sat down, your uncle who had played a really impactful role in
Yeah.
why you wanted to get your master's and your PhD. Like, have you felt yourself wanting to be just as like impactful and a good mentor towards those you either coach or, are clients of through the book?
Yeah, so just being able to coach is like, these players change our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're pouring into them, we're impacting them, but a player that doesn't want to be coached, doesn't want to listen, it doesn't work. So the players that have given me the opportunity to impact them has changed the trajectory of my life. And then from a mentor standpoint, Dr. Yeager has been an individual who played college football and got his PhD in psychotherapy, marriage and family therapy. Being able to watch how athletes respond to a relational and evidence-based informed therapist or clinician, watching guys, literally their lives change because they're able to battle and deal with the things that they're going through internally that they
Yeah.
never would talk about,
Right.
Yeah.
no one would ever see. And that has really been something that for the book is like, I want this to be a soft appetizer introduction to deeper peak performance, mental wellness, and just that like psychological flexibility. Because
Yeah.
sometimes if you're not familiar with a swimming pool and I throw you in the deep end and you've literally never been in one, I don't care how valuable I view swimming, you're not going to engage well with that.
Right.
But if I can take you to the kid area, put your feet in, see the water is warm here. All right, let's take a couple steps. All right, you're tall enough. You're much more likely to come back. And so this book is walking you through the shallow end, and there's a lot further that you can go as you engage with it. But I just want you to know that it's a comfortable space. The water is warm, but it's an enjoyable process as well.
Which
That's
is
awesome.
great because I mean I think
Great.
humanization of athletes is such a major
Man.
thing. We were talking about before. You were like, how did you get into sports? I'm a huge sports fanatic, right? Like live and breathe it. Like if my team is in the playoffs, baby, I'm dressed like I'm about to play the game. Okay, like we doing this today.
She
all
turns her
right?
phone off.
You know
I'm
what
like,
I'm saying?
damn.
The game
like,
is at 7. Y'all crazy. I gotta take a nap. So I'm in it or whatever. But I think that sometimes we allow our sports fandom to overtake and overpower the reality that these are real people
right. and
that are
humans,
doing
yeah.
the thing on the other side of it. And so you're mad that they didn't score whatever that night, in which we get it, they get paid millions of dollars and blah, 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 blah. If we're talking on a professional level, to start, right? Like, so you're mad because they get paid all this money. Who cares what they're going through off the court? You better be on there and performing. But the reality is that these are still people
And humans
who
as well.
are dealing with real life things. Like, Jimmy Butler's dad is passing and there's stories about he getting taken a private plane. Well, they didn't say it was because he was trying to fly home to see him every time. Also, while coming back to play a whole basketball games for your entertainment, and we're getting crazy on them. I don't think we realize as a society how much that has actually trickled down to even our kids and the youth and college and all that type of stuff, right? Because we've gotten it's normalized to talk crazy and to do this thing.
So disconnected.
We're
that
so
those are people.
disconnected to humanity that it's not even fair. So it feels almost impossible to expect these young people to handle the pressures of whatever they're handling, because they're probably the first person out of their family to, make it, and they're trying to, get the money for mama and them and do whatever it is. To even consider what this all might be for them. So I think it's important work where, what you're doing, the research of it, the dehumanization of it, and the mental side of it, because we're not protecting these young kids and their mentals enough for what the world has waiting for them, whether they make it professionally in sport or just life, period. And I think this has kind of been a missing factor. So kudos to you for being one of these people who are bringing light to something that's going to help us all be productive as people, period.
Yeah,
No, I
it's good
appreciate
humans.
it. It's been like players that come to mind, Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, in terms of individuals that have had a lot of media scrutiny.
Yep.
But were so grounded in developing who they were as people that they were able to get through the media scrutiny and still rise to the occasion, regardless of if it was injuries with D Rose or media scrutiny for Russ for whatever reason randomly they come up with today. But reverse engineering and now saying, all right, 12-year-old individual, how can we develop who you are as a whole person? Because if you're not so attached with this identity and this label of an elite athlete, one, if there's ever failure or if there's ever scrutiny, you're not so attached that this is all that I am that you're not able to say, all right, I play bad. I'm going to get better. It's all good. So that's an extremely important part for parents and even young athletes to recognize, continuing to develop who you are as an individual so that you can remove yourself when the game is over or the practice is over and then return back and not take it, everywhere with you. If that makes sense.
No,
Yeah,
that makes
for sure.
100% sense.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, no, that's fire.
Okay, so we're going to do a quick thing called Coach's Corner.
Let's
And
do
so
it.
it'll be a little quick fire. So
All
we're
right.
going to throw out some questions.
Yes.
You just give us
She gonna
whatever your answer is. Okay, so we've already kind of pretty much talked about what the biggest red flag in a athlete would be, talking about the entitlement and all that. So we'll go to, okay, so is grit coachable, or is it just something that's in you?
Coachable.
Really?
Yes.
How can you?
How?
Yeah.
Yeah, the research would say, one, putting athletes in a position where they can build resilience in an environment and a culture that is gritty. So you think about, let's use the Miami Heat. We talk about the Heat culture. So there may be a player who didn't play a certain way before, but they go into that environment where the leadership encourages it. The other individuals in that environment have it. And then over time, you start to be able to develop that, Angela Duckworth, I think, is the researcher that has a lot of research on this exact thing. Because there was a lot of question of, is grit, can you coach it? Are you born with it? And they found that it is actually a trait that you can develop. But there are obviously other factors that go into that. But you think of certain, I'm sure there's kids that you can think about. When he plays on this team, he plays a certain way. Now you put him over here on this team, it's just like, who are you?
Yeah.
That environment can really impact whether or not a player has it. And obviously, there's certain situations and certain individuals that may be born with a higher disposition, but it's definitely something that's coachable and able to
Hey, I
develop.
know.
That's good, yeah.
That's good to know. 'Cause I was like, I'm going to just start making the boys play like New York streets. You know what I mean? Pick up games, find that shit. Come on, you two.
Find it.
Next one. What's a pre-game ritual you like believe in, undeniable, got to do it, must have?
Breath work.
Okay.
I would combine breath work and just an internal dialogue check-in. Just having a feel of what is that, how are we doing today? Because it's almost a relationship. You, external you, and internal dialogue. A lot of times we're constantly having conversations internally. We're just not really conscious or aware of it. So breath work, just to be present. Anytime as a performer of any space, you can just be in the present moment. It's going to increase your ability to perform. So those would be the two that I definitely would stamp as you got to do them.
Yeah.
Gotta do
Like
'em.
it. Okay, last one. If you had what's the one non-negotiable for your team? Like, if you're playing here, you're part of this team. This is something
Cohesive and open-minded. Like you have to be willing to collaborate with one another and then be open-minded, because both player and coach.
Yeah.
Because there may be things that we did at the start of the season, 10 games into the season, we change, and I need everybody to be open-minded and flexible, because the most elite performers, coaches, singers, doesn't matter the space, they're able to adapt. That psychological flexibility. But if you're closed-minded, and sometimes you do need that fixed mindset, but I also need you to mix in some flexibility, because things are constantly changing. The game is always changing. You never know what's going to happen. So those would be my two
I love that.
main points. Yeah.
I have one. So how do you start like training yourself or your internal dialogue to be more positive?
I think first it starts with, again, the foundation of awareness.
Okay.
2 is, can you clock when it's negative? Like, can I be aware, like, okay, that's not necessarily what's happening. That's my internal dialogue interpreting a situation. Because more times than not, the situation doesn't make us mad. It's the voice telling us, why don't you cut me off in traffic? Them cutting you off in traffic didn't necessarily piss you off until you started to tell yourself, this person keeps doing X, Y, and Z. I don't know why they... And it's like, okay, well, hold on. Is that really what's happening? Or have I gotten myself to be...
Let me tell you something. Do you know how often I am annoyed with people before I even talk to them? Because internally I'm like, oh, this is how the conversation is about to go. And then you walk into the situation off top, you're mad.
Off rip.
Off like you already beefing you know? And it's so funny because so many times I've had to be like, they didn't actually say that.
Yes.
Let's start over.
Yes. You set the expectation.
You set the expectation up and off.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Okay, so
and the second,
got
I would
it.
say humanize it.
Yes.
So if we can give a character to that voice and say, like, all right, whomever, we want to give that character name. JD is the internal voice. How are we doing today? Like, what you on? What type of time are you on? You negative? You positive? Because I'm going to need you to, if we can humanize it, then we're able to detach ourselves and know that it's not necessarily our conscious thoughts. It's just that internal voice that if we build a constant relationship, then you're able to catch it and say, like, all right, hold on now.
Correct.
Do I really need to go in here guns blazing? Then the other voice is like, nah, not really. It's not that serious.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you slowly.
Maybe I'm telling you, I have a board meeting with myself. My personality show up quick. I'd be like, all right, y'all, what we doing? What is it? That's too much.
It's true. Okay. Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. Okay. So we'll do 2 more things before we wrap it up.
Yes.
One,
I know.
I
You
would
have to
like
go.
to
Yes,
know.
yes,
I
yes.
would like to know what 16-year-old JD would think about you today.
Oh, that's a good question.
16-year-old JD would probably be like, thank you. Like, thank you for continuing to work through whatever personal struggle. Thank you for continuing to develop internally. Growing up in an environment where at 16, I probably lost 5 friends to gun violence at such a young age. And so for my younger version to know that you just kept pouring into yourself, pouring into things that you cared about, like, thank you for showing up for us or showing up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that would be,
That's
that would
beautiful.
possibly be the,
I know, I love that.
Yeah.
And I mean, to kind of just develop into that a little bit more, is there one failure that you can identify that helped shape your journey?
I think all of them. I always tell people, you change one thing, you got to change everything.
Yeah.
And every single failure was an opportunity to elicit growth. And if you take away the failure, you got to take away the growth. So I would say really all of them were necessary. And the key for me at this point, with whether it's athletes or coaches, is in the moment of said failure, can we reframe that into something that we know is going to elicit growth, instead of being so mad that missed a game winner or didn't show up in a big game or didn't coach well in the semifinal. Well, everything before this time period that didn't go our way built us to be where we are. So in this moment, how can I recognize that this moment of failure is going to push me to that next height or that next level of success?
I love that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Congratulations, dude.
Yes,
That's brilliant.
yes. You
Yeah.
gotta
No,
do
this
it.
is
I know.
This was
amazing.
awesome.
Yes.
I'm gonna clap.
Yeah, I know. You got to tell us, so when is
Yeah,
was the book
exactly.
officially out? Where can you find it?
Yeah, so
You know?
August 18th is officially out.
Oh,
It's
snap.
my
That's
mom's
around the corner.
birthday. And that was kind of the reason, two reasons. One, the reason I'm here, because she would have loved this platform.
Aw.
She was the fan, especially when I first started. We'll be on offense, and she's saying, come on, defense.
There you go.
As she started to go to games, she started to understand what's happening, and then she became the mom that was like the ref.
There
She
you
was like
go.
the first parent I recognized, like, dang, these refs have to be like, whose parent is
Right,
that?
exactly. Somebody get your mama.
Yeah, but she was a writer, super creative, and that's you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, please get your
What?
mama.
It's vicious.
As soon as I walk in, they'd be like, "So you came to the game? I came to every game, refs, every game, and y'all know
She's the worst.
I am terrible."
But no, yeah, August 18th, officially out. Again, it was something that she was the creative in the family, so kind of a celebration of her, but also a celebration of my first project. I'm extremely excited just to
That's
share
awesome.
it and help guide individuals to reach their full potential.
Yeah. Where can you find it? Like, where can we go and
So
support?
breathethroughchaos.com, breathe through THRU chaos.com. It's on pre-sale right now.
Okay.
And another thing that we're doing is a percentage of all proceeds we're pouring back into youth mental health resources.
We
I
love
love
that.
So just trying to make sure we keep the service component. Obviously, it's a product, but we always want to make sure that feedback loop in terms of, all right, I'm giving you something that you can not only utilize for yourself, but automatically, if you purchase a book, you're also helping
paying it forward.
the person that's right behind you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And in general, with your program, with everything that you're doing, like, what are you looking forward to? Like, what are you looking forward that you're building, the impact that you're making? What are you looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to continue to be that translator,
Yeah.
the translator of psychological research and information into peak performance, whether it's an athlete, an artist, a coach, an organization. How do I take the information I'm learning in school and translate that to individuals that are trying to take that next step psychologically? But as we talked about, 80 to 90% of it is mental.
Yeah.
So how can I continue to provide more impact in that huge bucket of 80 to 90%?
Love that.
Hell yeah.
Well, thank you for the work that you're doing.
Yeah,
Thank
It's
you.
important.
This is
Thank you
brilliant.
guys. This is
Really, really
amazing.
important.
I mean, you guys' platform
Thank
is
you.
unbelievable. These
Thank you.
conversations are extremely
Oh,
helpful. And I know I'm a better coach by having this dialogue. So
We
I appreciate
it.
you. You're
Appreciate
the
the time.
sweetest. And
Yeah,
we're happy to
he's the
support.
best.
We're going to pub it. We're going to
Appreciate
tell the
it.
people,
Yes,
go get the
indeed.
book. Go
For
get
real.
the book.
Indeed.
Let's go.
For
Everybody
sure.
needs to breathe.
Okay, so we have to do it. We always do a little state your claim.
Yeah.
So on a sports edition, of course.
Yeah.
So we want to know your favorite in the different sports that are out there. Okay.
Okay.
So NBA, do you have a favorite player, favorite team?
Favorite player, anybody from LA?
You bet.
Favorite team, I would say I don't really have a favorite team, but because the Thunder won, I would say the Thunder, just because watching the progression of Sam
team.
Presti being able to go from Seattle to OKC and the different iterations of leadership. And then I just think Shea as a player, just his smile after that, I think Game 5 loss in Denver, him being able to show that there's different versions of being a high level competitor. It doesn't have to be that rigid, serious, I don't have fun at all. Like, he has a great time, but he's a killer and a
Right.
dog
Yeah,
on
he
the
a
floor.
dog.
So
Yeah.
being able to watch that organization has been really impactful for me as a coach.
Very cool. Yeah, I feel it. Okay. Yeah, I root for all the LA kids too.
Yeah.
So I hear that. Okay. NFL.
NFL, I'll go Rams.
You like
Okay,
LA
real-
fine.
I was
Yeah.
like,
The
okay,
Rams.
real LA.
Yeah, safe bet. Safe bet.
Come
So then
on.
MLB.
MLB Dodgers. That's not. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can't
like,
even.
hello.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
even.
exactly.
a-
The world
yeah.
champion
If anybody's
Dodgers,
listening
mind
this year and it's not the Dodgers, I don't.
Right,
really
get
know.
out.
You don't know it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
get out of
Exactly.
here.
Yeah,
Okay,
pop-
fair enough.
postpone,
Do you
yeah.
WNBA?
Sparks grew up
Period.
season ticket holder from the first season they had,
Nice.
and so when people talk about this like women's basketball movement, I'm like, where you guys been?
Hello?
Right, right. I know.
Hello?
They've
They,
been
they
like,
talk about it like it just started 2 weeks
Hello?
ago.
to
You're
be
like,
able to
come
watch
on.
Lisa Leslie, Tina Thompson
That part.
growing up, Candace Parker live, and
Yes.
seeing the best women in the world,
Yes.
and then now you hear people is like, where you been? Like, this is
Yeah.
not anything new. They've
No,
been
they've been
elite.
Ballin'. Yes.
Yeah.
Elite.
They've been hooping.
So yeah, Sparks for
How
sure.
do you feel about where the WNBA is now, and outside of the new folks, but just to see where the game is continuing to grow to see the pages and soon
Yeah,
Juju
yeah.
and all these young players are coming.
I
through.
love the fact that the athletes are able to have more of a voice and be comfortable voicing the things that they're struggling with,
Yeah.
and for us to see the progress. Like 3 or 4 new teams.
Mhm.
If I'm a business person, I'm not buying a team unless it's lucrative.
Mhm.
So the women have clearly taken the baton from the Tina Thompsons, the Lisa Leslies, and now they're pushing the game forward. And I just love to see women at the highest level finally get the attention because they've been hooping at a high level for ages. This isn't
Right.
anything new.
That
but
part.
to get people now welcome to the party has been
It's
awesome to
beautiful.
watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
you
love
gotta
that.
love it.
Okay, I think did I hit all the major ones?
Yeah.
Do you hockey?
Hockey,
Do you
I don't
hockey?
watch.
We're trying to learn hockey.
We are.
Yeah, so when I
totally
was in
trying to figure it
Toronto,
out.
I went to a Maple Leafs game, and it was unbelievable.
I thought you were going to say Canucks, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's your
Right?
team.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we have committed. Exactly. We've committed to learning hockey.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
We're
because one of
terrible.
the things, like the idea of this show, obviously, is to be informative and fun and do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so if we want people to learn and get into sports,
For
then
sure,
we're
we
gonna
gotta
learn
do
and
it.
get into it too.
Yeah.
I'm an LA kid, so Kings go, Kings go. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
rock with them.
No,
You know
for
what I'm
sure.
saying? We're gonna do a thing. And
The
she
Canucks because it sounds fun.
she liked the name.
That is.
So that is the team she'll be following this upcoming season. I'm
That would
gonna
be a
stick
dope
with the
episode
Kings.
to watch you guys at a hockey game close and
Yes.
just seeing like the puck and just
Absolutely.
the
Oh, man.
reaction,
Yes.
having you
Absolutely.
mic'd
We're
up.
going.
That would be.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
It would be a
happening.
lot of beeps.
And then
Beep,
another
beep,
one, you
what
at a
the-
game mic'd up talking to the refs.
Oh,
Like, That
no.
would be.
You don't
We
want that
can't-
beat. Oh, they
You
get
can't let
what?
her on the
I get them to the point like they almost kick me out of games.
Oh, you're just getting that. Oh.
Because there's just so I mean that I go into like why are you even exist?
Gloria's gonna call you a fucking
Why-
idiot. She
all the
gonna-
all the
she
things
gonna
I'm
do
talking
all
about.
this.
Please
like,
don't stop
gloves
your
off.
day
She's
job.
not-
I am. You sound stupid.
She's not a good example.
I
Oh,
am
yeah.
just.
she does not set a good example.
I
No,
do
that
not.
would be a good one. Just
don't.
breathing.
He's like about the breathing exercises.
Girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
no.
needs them like
Refs-
something crazy.
That
refs
internal
know me
dialogue
and
is
see me as
definitely
wild.
intense then.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And you know what's? I tell myself. I promise. I tell myself every game. You're not going to say. You're not going to say anything. Like you're not going to say anything. And
lying.
then what? The first whistle. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I'm like, God damn it.
That's fine.
Well, since I've started,
Yeah.
I might as well finish the game. So here we go.
So bless
It's
her heart.
terrible.
So yeah, it's a thing. But we're gonna
we're gonna
we're
work
gonna
on
be
that.
mic'd up at all the sports this
Alright.
this fall. So
Yeah.
it'll be
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
good.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
For being here, for
Thank you.
being
It's awesome.
phenomenal, for continuing to impart the things you're learning. It's so important, and please keep going. And you have big support.
Big,
in us.
big fans.
Know that.
Big fans.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
yes.
you. Great platform. It
Thank
was
you.
awesome. It was awesome.
Yes,
It was
thank
awesome.
you.
So this is another episode of Sportsing. That's Gloria. I'm Erica. Y'all know what to do. Pass it along. Tell somebody. Follow, comment, share, do all the things. And then have your butt back here next week.
For another one.
We'll see you
Later.
then.